certain lake because bass fished there last year, and then guys that all are running Humminbird, they didn't have any maps. My phone rang off the hook trying to get Navionics, and I'm like, hey, Bass Pros and Leeds, Bass Pros and so, that's where you got to go buy them. So that's what the biggest thing with the updates chart. For 99 bucks, you know, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing, but if your lake's not covered, you can get a $99 chip and use it with your Lake Master and get coverage with it. The Navionics advanced features, just to know there's stuff that if your chart does expire, there is a few things that you lose, okay? So if you have a new chart, you register it for 1 year, you get dock-to-dock auto routing. Has anybody ever used that before? I'll show you here on here how pretty cool it is. There's Sonar Chart Live where you can do the mapping, and then the advanced map options where you can change the colors and stuff like that at the depth is pretty cool. The dock-to-dock auto routing, you can pick a spot where you want to go to and where you're at, and it'll actually show you the trail that you should follow safely. You can enter your what is it called, the draft of your boat, and it will make sure that you stay within a certain depth, and you can set the depth all the.
So it navigates like around like a linear around islands.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Where the old GPS used to say, okay, just go that way.
Straight through, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How you gonna fit through there? So it's a what we call dock to dock. You can do it. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on the website. You can transfer it over. So it's a pretty cool feature. Sonar Chart Live, I talked about that a little while ago. That's where you can map lake areas that don't look like they've been mapped in a while. You can keep it private or public, whatever you want to do with that. This is some of the advanced features that are available in Navionics. A lot of people don't understand what those little red dots are, and that's shallow water markers. You can set that on every depth finder that you put our charts in. You can set that on what you want it to be. If you want it to be 5 foot, every place on the map going around the shallow area will have little red dots on it if you want it. Fishing ranges. This is something I would think, I'll just predict, in 2020 you'll see a change in this for Navionics. I don't know if the plotter companies will allow it, but I think you will see this in 2020 on all Navionics charts. Right now you can do a white, a light blue, a darker blue, and a real dark blue. You can have 4 ranges. I really think by 2020 I think we'll do colors again and make them available. They're available in our app. We just got to get the plotter companies to turn that feature on. CMAP just did it with some of their CMAP stuff, and Lake Master's been doing it for a while. I think they got like 13 colors on Lake Master. To me, that's one of the greatest features of Lake Master chips. They beat our butts on that. Plotter Sync is something a lot of people don't understand. It's a built-in Wi-Fi modular within your depth finder. If you have a Lowrance Carbon, the new Live, Gen 3s had some of them, Elite TI2s have it now. You can actually sync your phone with the depth finder. So you can update your charts, you can pick areas that you want to download and make better on your charts. If you're going offshore and you hadn't ever been to a certain area, you can do all that through your phone by downloading the charts. This is an example of just before what the Sonar chart tracks look like, and then when you upload it, what it can look like if you want to just change it in that little bit of time. These are some before and after with what they're doing with Sonar Chart Live. This is what it looked like before. They put 2 boats on this area and they just started circling it, and how they improved it just right afterwards, and you can see the difference. And all you have to do is just update your charts and you get that. Couple cool things we do. We have our website has a support page on it that is probably, to me, one of the coolest things we've ever done before, is where you can online chat. I know a lot of people like to call a phone number and wait. I'm just telling you, that's crazy. You can go online and chat with somebody, and within 10 minutes, most of the time on the Navionics page, you can be talking to somebody live. And you can be in your boat. You can give them your phone number and say, hey, can you call me when you have a minute? I'm on my boat. I don't understand what you're chatting with me about. And they'll call you directly. Garmin does that also. That's probably a cool feature. Customer service, to me, is one of the hardest things going. When I went to work for Navionics, they had 1 phone line. I said, are you serious? And they go, yeah, we do everything online, chatting now. And I'm like, 1 phone line? And they go, yeah, that's why you have to hold for 2 hours. I'm just like, that's crazy. And that's why Lawrence changed all theirs when I was working there to Mexico. You can't understand half the people you talk to when you come down there. I'm sorry.
Lionel
sorry.
fell for you.
Lionel.
He's on Lorenz Mexico.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad. Sonar Chart Live, you can actually do it on the app now. If you link your phone with your depth finder, you can actually watch the sonar chart going on your phone while you're mapping and how it does. It does it through the live units, the carbon or the elites. If they have a built-in Wi-Fi, you can do that. There's some examples of what it looks like when you're charting. These waters have never been charted before, so it looks like land. So when you start driving your boat around there, it starts developing the contour lines and all that stuff. This is a whole lake we did a couple years ago, and just it was never even mapped. One of the things I did the second week I went to work there, they gave me a boat and a depth finder, and when I was in Florida, and they said, "Hey, we want to map this lake." I was like, "Okay." So I got out there for 2 hours and mapped this little pond, uploaded it. It was pretty cool how it does it. So let's quickly just go through all the different charts that Navionics sells. Hopefully it doesn't confuse you too much. Navionics Regions card is the one that has coastal waters. It has all 5 miles offshore and particular areas. So if you are a new guy fishing Lake Lanier, this is probably the chart you buy. It's $149. Find one of your old buddies that has an old chart you could trade in and save some money. The Nav Plus is the one that comes with a bundle most of the time. It's $199. It has all US and Canada. You got to register as a chart. You got to pick the areas that you want to download and put them on there. The updates chart, which the guy won back here, that's for somebody that has an old chart and wants to update it to a new chart. And then the features are the daily updates. Just don't, I mean, that's the one thing I tell everybody is don't miss out on that. That's just an awesome opportunity to do that. The app, how many people in here own the Navionics app? Okay. It is so popular. It blows my mind. How much stuff. The coolest thing to me about it is if your buddy says, "Hey, I'm fishing down by Three Sisters on, Flat Creek marker number 1, you can put a mark on it, save it as a waypoint. You can transfer it right to your depth finder. If you want to try to go from one place to the other, you can transfer that from your phone right to your depth finder if you have built-in Wi-Fi. It tells you the weather. It tells you the tides. I mean, it's $14.99. It's probably the #1 selling app in the Apple, I know for a fact. Our app doesn't work on cell signal. It actually works on GPS signal. So if you don't have cell signal, you've still got the mapping available to you. All these people that go to the Bahamas, that's all they talk about. I'm going to lose my cell service. I won't be able to get down there. On the Navionics app, if you look down here in the very bottom, there's a little button. This is your locator button, okay? This next little button you hear, you have a choice between government charts, Navionics charts, and what we call a sonar chart layer. And a lot of people don't understand what each one is. That you're looking at a government chart is free. All right? Anybody can buy those. That's how some of these map companies get started. They say, "Hey, check out our new map." It's a free government map. All right? That's what they're putting in there. Then you want to turn on that button and see the nautical layers where you get the depths and you get the buoy markers and stuff like that. For the average boat cruiser, that works pretty good for traveling. And then the next thing is you want to make sure you hit that button and you turn on sonar chart, and then you actually get the 1-foot contours and all the other same features that you already had. But this is something, like I said before when we started, this is something people just don't do. If you got a Lowrance unit or Simrad, make sure you got sonar chart turned on because it makes a difference. There's also a place for icons, points of interest. If you find a fishing spot that you want to tell your buddies about, you can mark it. If you see a danger area, you can do that also on the top button. There's also a weather. You can put this button on a certain area where you're at and then hit the question mark or hit the menu button down here at the bottom. And then it'll pull up the weather and you can see the winds. You can also, one of the things we don't have on here, and I think you'll see it next year, is be able to swap to radar. That was one of the things that we had at our meeting that a couple of guys said, "Hey, we'd like to be able to hit the weather and then boom, radar pulls up and we can look at it instead of swapping back and forth." And I think you'll see that come in 2020.
Hey Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got the phone app and you get like a weather overlay,
Yep.
you can with Wi-Fi you can transfer that to your unit or no?
No. Yeah. The only way you could do it, there is a way you can mirror. You can mirror your phone on the, I think, the new live units where you plug in a cable in the back of your unit and plug it in. I think you can mirror them that way. That's an idea. I haven't done that yet. I've seen some people do. One of the guys was watching TV or something on his with using that kind of cable. But I think that's coming. The weather's pretty cool just for the winds. I mean, you can see the wind directions and stuff like that. You can put a marker, you can add a waypoint. The cool thing about this is you can add a waypoint or marker if you wanted to. You can name it if you want to rename it. You can drop it on the screen and then you can sync your unit, your phone with your unit, and it'll transfer that waypoint. Now, what I tell you to do is make sure you name it. Don't let it be marker 4, because if you got marker 4 already on your unit, you're going to have 2 marker 4s on your unit. You may not know which one's which. So it's a good idea to name it. The tides are on there again. If you're offshore, you can watch the tides. Community edits, that's kind of a cool button that's on the app. You can click on the screen and turn on community edits, and you can find places like dive areas or wrecks or stuff like that that people have added to the charts. That's a cool feature to have.
Now, do y'all just add that stuff, or do you, I mean...
You and me do it.
Well, I understand that.
Right.
I mean, I could tell you something's there and it ain't there.
Right.
You know, so,
Right.
I mean, is there any kind of research to what...
You can delete it. I can delete it. I'll tell you a quick funny story about this. So Kentucky Lake last year, the Bassmaster guys, and last year Edwin Evers and who else was over there? Timmy Horton were over there fishing. And Edwin called me and he goes, "Tom, you know I won a tournament over here on Kentucky Lake about 2 years ago." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "My spot is on the map." And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, I said, "What's the coordinates?" And he gave me the coordinates, and I looked, and I go, "Yep, it's on there. It's community edit." And he goes, "Well, can you delete that?" And I said, "Yeah, but you can too." And he looked at it, and then he started looking at the map, and somebody had followed them at that whole tournament, and they had marked Edwin, Timmy, all the top 10 guys marked every one of their spots where they were catching fish in the tournament.
Wow.
And I said, "Now, here's what I would do." You could save it as a waypoint and then delete it. Then they couldn't find it, because you can delete the community edits. Anybody can delete them. So if somebody puts a mark on there and says, "Hey, here's a big rock pile," and there's not a rock pile there, you can delete it yourself and pull up on it. So, advanced options. This is probably like I said, the greatest feature that we've ever done on an app. You can take this thing and you can do mahi, snapper, wahoo, whatever. I do mine depths. I've got mine for, I think it's pink or red is 0 to 5 feet. So every time I look to my depth finder, yeah, there you go, just like you got. Every place I look, it's pink, is 0 to 5 feet. I know I'm in a danger zone. And you can change the depth. You can look at the contour lines and all that stuff, and it'll really help you with your fishing. There is a water level button on the app, so if the lake goes down again, praise the Lord, hope it doesn't ever again go down like it was. You can actually change the levels here to where if it's minus 17 feet, you can move it over minus 17 feet, and you got the map. You
Is
can
that
do
what this little exclamation point is right here? Because when I push this little exclamation point, it says water level set to...
Yep, go to menu.
To 1 foot.
Yeah, that's what yours is on right now. Go to
Map-
options.
Map options.
Yeah, and you should be able to scroll down and find yours where you're set it at.
Depth shading, depth, shallow air, water level.
Yep.
Okay.
There you
So, I mean, if the lake is at 1.087 or whatever it is, just set it to...
Yeah, 0.
2 or...
Yeah, or 2, 4, whatever.
So it's
depending
going to
on-
adjust the footage.
Right,
throughout.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. That, to me, is one of the greatest features.
For navigation.
You can't, nobody does that good. Humminbird, Lake Master's okay with that part of it, but this way you can slide it up and down real quick and do it. That's a pretty cool thing. That's a water level adjustment we talked about. Satellite overlay is built into that also on the app, so that you can add satellite overlay onto the mapping. I don't think that's as important as sonar chart shading, which we'll talk about here in a minute. That's coming to the app within the next couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This, if you're in an area that you've never been to and you open your app, you might see this on the screen. This is where the area, if you want to fish, for example, when I was in the Miami fishing, I didn't have those maps, so I had to download them onto my app, and that's kind of what it does for you. Like I said, if you don't have it, it's the #1 app. The first 2 weeks are free. So if y'all have a tournament coming up, a couple guys want to download it and try it out, there's no charge the first 2 weeks, and then after that it's $14.99 annually to renew it. It went up from $9.99, and a little bit of that is Garmin, because we merged Active Captain with our Navionics app. So we've got more features available now in the app too. Some people bitched, moaned, and complained and quit, but that's okay. That's part of it. So in October, when Garmin purchased Navionics, their whole thing was they always want to be the best at everything they do. And that was why they purchased Navionics. They have, to me personally right now, not just because I work for them, if you haven't seen that live scope, that is the #1 hottest freaking selling thing. And any retailer you go to, they're going to try to sell you one. Bass Pro, for example, I was talking to the guys in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. Their sales are up 186% just on Garmin units this year because of live scope. I mean, it's cost $1,500 for that live scope transducer, but it's amazing. I mean, the Bassmaster guys, when they were fishing over here at Lanier, I swear like 50% of them got up on stage, and that's all they said was, man, I was looking at my live scope and I just caught a fish. You know, so that was part of their merger with the Navionics, was to try to improve their mapping. They knew that Navionics had mapping all over the world. Garmin originally function was, let's focus on the United States. So with them purchasing Navionics, they've kind of combined. They have created a new chart called the G3. It has a blue water, and it also has, blue water and a lake view version of it. They cost about $199, $219. They have combined all the Navionics Platinum stuff onto one chart so that it only works in a Garmin unit. Now, you can't buy a G3 and put it in a Lowrance unit or Simrad. It only works in Garmin units, and that's kind of their plan for that. They have taken their old maps, which look like this, and they merged the Navionics together and came out with a pretty cool thing. One of the things I left out on the table for you is what I call a compatibility guide. This is something that if you have an older Lowrance, Simrad, Humminbird, whatever unit, you don't know what Navionics unit, Navionics chip to purchase, you can go online or you can look at one of the compatibility guides. Dylan's got a couple of them at the shop, I know. If you go in there and say, even if you got an old 520 or you got a, what's an old unit? Somebody else tell me another one.
Lowrance?
Yeah.
LCX 113.
17.
Yeah,
right.
17, 113, all the, you can go back and look at these guides. You can go back and look at these guides and figure out, okay, if I don't want to buy a new unit, this is the only chip I can use. Or you can go online and hit the compatibility guide and list it. They update it monthly because it's changing all the time. Again, I told you about customer service. Down at the bottom is the live chat. That is like the coolest thing ever. I go on there. If I get stumped at home and I can't figure out something, I'll go on there and chat with them, just to even tell them who I am. And it'll pop up, tell you who you contact, and you just write your message on there. So the big announcement we came out with last week was the sonar chart shading. This became available 2 weeks ago in the United States. There's 2,600 lakes. You'll have to look online, but Lanier is one of them. I can tell you, Lanier, Hartwell, Sinclair, Oconee, Russell are on it. But sonar chart shading is something we've been working on for about a year. Some other companies have come out with something similar to this, but I challenge you to zoom in. That is my challenge to each one of you if you want to see a difference. Zoom in on the product. If you zoom in on ours, it is a transparent overlay on top of satellite. These other companies have taken photographs and you can actually see the squares, and they've overlaid them when you dive into it. It's not a true sonar chart overlay. But you can see the whole purpose behind this, to me personally, is when you're zoomed out and you're looking for a deep spot on the lake, you can tell by looking at the pictures about where's the deepest water at, where's the shallow water, and stuff like that. That's what's going to make a difference. But it updates. It's great for the boating and fishing seasons, but it's created a high definition contour of the lake bottom or the ocean bottom. One of the companies, there's a company out right now called Seymour Mapping. They're very popular about the bottom contours of the ocean, but they've only done about 2 miles offshore in the Florida coast area. And it's a pretty incredible looking map. Well, it's very similar to what we've done, but we've been able to expand out and go farther and get more data. So their maps sell for $3.99 to $5.99. you can get this on a $199 chart. So all it is sonar chart shading is an update. It's available on the Platinum Plus and the Hot Maps Platinum. The Florida is available now. The Hot Maps Platinum and the lake area is all available now. The one thing I'll tell you about, just from my experience of playing around with it, it takes a little bit longer to download. What we did with the sonar chart shading, and we haven't done this, like I said, I've been there 2 years. They haven't replaced the satellite imaging that's already on there. Satellite imaging is going to change. How often it changes, it's a hard thing to do with a computer chip, because you have to delete all the data off of it and reload all the data. So this particular, when you add sonar chart shading to any of your Hot Maps Platinum or Platinum Plus charts, it's going to take 1.5 hours to 2 hours to really update the chip. So it takes a little bit of time. That's all I got. Questions, comments, concerns? I know somebody's got something.
So the fishing ranges,
Mm-hmm.
you have, after that 1 year, you need to continue your subscription, or will they?
So what would you lose if you don't update? One thing I tell everybody is go online on the website and see what lakes what are new. You can go into our help desk part of it and say, hey, where's a list of lakes that have been recently mapped? And they can give you a list of lakes that have been mapped. The thing about Lake Lanier over here, just for example, and y'all probably know this as much as y'all fish over there, there's certain areas that the mapping sucks. But there's some areas that people will go in, like I did for Bayless. When I saw it, I was like, I'm mapping this crap. This ain't going to take long. It took me like 3 hours to map that little right-hand side of Bayless, to map it right. But I mean, people like me are always out there doing little things. My next project that I'm working on that I want to do is I want to go from the danger buoy markers on the Chattahoochee up to that bridge. I want to map that.
Yeah, that's a lot of fishing spots, so we definitely need to go up there because we want to know what's there.
Yeah, I want to map that.
Ours just cuts off.
Yeah,
Right,
everybody,
right.
nobody's ever
Everybody,
taken
I know.
boats. Nobody's taking boats
I mean,
up there.
four-wheelers, whatever, we'll get through
They're
there.
boats, but then they hit
Oh,
the
you
lead.
can go up there now. There's
They
a lot
map
of
it,
water.
delete it, same thing.
There's a lot of
We
water
need
up
it
there.
mapped. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
You know, that's
so
just,
you keep the fishing depth ranges you would keep, right?
yeah, I would.
Because I know on the app, if you don't have the subscription,
You lose it.
you lose it.
Yep.
So if you buy the chip for your plotter, you just have it
Yeah,
outright
you got it for a year.
for a year,
Mhm.
and then you have to continue.
Re-up it for half price. Yeah, re-up it for half price. Or the app,
Correct.
you re-up it for $15 again, or whatever.
I think it was $10.
Yeah, it used to be $9.99, it's $15 now, $14.99.
See, I just re-upped my other one, my main one.
Yeah.
Now, I just re-upped it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's gonna do.
Not to mention if you own somebody else's boat.
The chip, you just redid the chip,
Yeah, right.
sell that to somebody.
Yeah.
You go fishing down there.
What, retail 99?
Yeah.
Just ask me.
Thank y'all for having me, glad to be here. If I can ever help, just call me or shoot me an email. I'd be glad to help you. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about